Top 10 Most Astonishing Inventions of World War II. Why was Hitler's army so formidable? The number one invention is still loved by women worldwide. Number 10. The world's first fighter jet. The Me-262, developed by Germany's Messerschmitt Aircraft Company near the end of World War II, was the first jet-powered fighter ever used in combat. Its story actually began before the war, when Germany launched Project P-1065 to create a weapon far ahead of its time. The initial test flight was scheduled for April 1939, but budget shortages and the belief among Luftwaffe leaders that traditional propeller fighters were sufficient delayed development. Finally, in July 1942, the historic moment arrived, the first jet-powered flight in history. This marked not just a technological breakthrough, but a strategic revolution. On the battlefield, the Me-262 immediately proved dominant. It was about 150 kilometers per hour faster than the fastest piston fighters and had a far superior rate of climb. It could slice through formations of escort fighters and attack bombers with ease. Armed with four 30mm cannons, it could easily destroy large targets, rendering the Allies' mass bomber tactics ineffective. Yet the Me-262 was not invincible. It required a long runway and accelerated slowly, making takeoff and landing dangerous and vulnerable to ambush. Its biggest enemy, however, was Germany itself. Wartime resource shortages forced the use of inferior materials, reducing reliability. Records show it shot down over 600 enemy planes while losing around 200 of its own, but only 30 were destroyed in combat. The rest crashed due to mechanical failure. After the war, both the Soviets and the Americans studied and copied its technology, deeply influencing Cold War jet development. Even decades later, its legacy remains strong. In 2003, a US civilian project successfully rebuilt and flew a Me-262 again, proving the timeless genius of its design. Number 9. Fanta, the drink that beat Coca-Cola. When you think of Fanta, you probably picture bright colors, refreshing flavors, and a fun vibe, but its origin is rooted in the dark days of Nazi Germany. In the 1930s, Coca-Cola was thriving in Germany, but after World War II broke out and relations between the US and Germany collapsed, the import of Coke syrup became impossible. To keep the business alive, Coca-Cola Germany's manager devised a creative solution: use whatever ingredients were available locally. He mixed whey, apple juice, coloring, and flavorings to create a new soft drink and named it Fanta, short for fantastisch, fantastic. To everyone's surprise, it was an instant hit. During wartime shortages, it became a rare treat for Germans, so popular that some even used it in cakes to enhance flavor. After the war, Fanta's brand and profits returned to Coca-Cola headquarters in the US, and the drink spread worldwide. Its flavors multiplied from the original apple version to orange, lemon, grape, strawberry, and beyond. Today there are over 90 varieties, including quirky ones like Romanian lemon raspberry and Thai bubblegum. Fanta's story proves that even in times of crisis, innovation and imagination can turn hardship into opportunity. What started as a wartime necessity in Nazi Germany has since become a global pop culture icon. Number 8. The inflatable companion during World War II. Hitler's forces swept through Europe with astonishing speed, even forcing France to surrender. But as German troops entered Paris, a city famous for its pleasures and nightlife, a new problem emerged: the spread of sexually transmitted diseases, especially syphilis, which began to cripple the army's combat readiness. To address this, Hitler and his officers launched a secret initiative called Project Borghild. Its goal was to provide soldiers with a safe outlet to reduce infections. Their solution: the inflatable companion doll. Initially, they wanted to model it after Hungarian actress Kathy von Nye, who refused. Eventually, they designed a generic blonde, blue-eyed Aryan figure that could fit into a soldier's backpack. Though theoretically useful, the idea was widely mocked. Many soldiers felt ashamed and worried about being ridiculed if captured. The project was quietly abandoned. Still, the concept inspired post-war manufacturers to create the Lily doll. When American toy entrepreneur Ruth Handler later encountered it, she bought a few and redesigned them into a more wholesome toy, naming it after her daughter, Barbie. The Barbie doll soon became a global phenomenon. Few know that this toy icon traces its roots back to a bizarre wartime experiment. Number 7. 3D movies. You probably wouldn't guess that the origin of 3D cinema is actually linked to Nazi Germany's propaganda efforts. In 2019, Australian documentary filmmaker Philip Maurer discovered two forgotten Nazi propaganda films from 1936 in the archives of Berlin. To his astonishment, they were both filmed in 3D, making them the earliest known examples of 3D filmmaking, predating Hollywood's first 3D movie by a full 18 years. Each of these 30-minute black and white films was produced by the Nazi propaganda ministry and even included synchronized music. The films were shot on 35mm reels using a stereoscopic spatial film technique, an incredibly advanced concept for its time. They depicted scenes of everyday luxury and leisure in Nazi Germany, subtly serving the regime's propaganda goals. Why were they forgotten? Some historians believe that Germany kept them secret to prevent the Soviets from stealing and developing similar technology. Whatever the reason, Maurer's discovery rewrote film history and proved that Nazi Germany's technological reach extended even into cinematic innovation. He later incorporated the footage into his documentary, How the Third Reich Was Recorded, showing the world just how far ahead Germany was in 3D experimentation, long before it became a Hollywood sensation. Number 6. The ZEF4 computer. Now let's look at a milestone in computing history. The ZEF4, the world's first commercial digital computer, and the oldest programmable machine still known today. It was created by German engineer Konrad Zuse, a true pioneer of computer science. Construction began in 1943, when Zuse aimed to build a machine capable of automatic calculation and basic programming. The ZEF4 used electromagnetic relays, mechanical memory, and electromechanical logic. Not fully electronic, but remarkably close to modern computers. It also featured the first ever computer programming language, Plankalkül, plan calculus, which made coding faster, simpler, and more efficient. Without Zuse's innovations, computer technology and programming might have developed years later than they did. As the war neared its end and Soviet forces closed in on Berlin, Zuse secretly relocated the Z4 to Bavaria to prevent it from being captured. After the war, it became the only operational digital computer in Germany and the first in the world to be sold commercially. In 1955, the Z4 was purchased by the French-German Research Institute of St. Louis, and in 1960 it was moved to the Deutsches Museum in Munich, where it remains a symbol of human ingenuity, born out of wartime necessity. Number 5. The intramedullary nail. During the height of World War II, medical resources across Europe were stretched to the breaking point. Battlefield injuries, especially bone fractures, were a major challenge. Conventional treatments like traction or plaster casting took months of recovery time, keeping soldiers out of combat for too long. That's when Dr. Gerhard Kuntscher, a German surgeon, introduced a revolutionary solution in 1939, the intramedullary nail. A slender, stainless steel rod inserted into the bone marrow cavity to stabilize fractures from within. Initially mocked by his peers, Kuntscher's technique soon proved to be a medical breakthrough. The method drastically shortened recovery times from months to mere weeks, allowing injured soldiers to return to duty much sooner. The innovation marked a turning point in wartime medicine, transforming fracture treatment from passive immobilization to active healing. Beyond the war, Kuntscher's invention laid the foundation for modern orthopedic surgery and remains in use, refined but fundamentally unchanged to this day. Number 4. The electric submarine. After World War I, Germany rapidly rebuilt its military strength. By World War II, its naval technology again shocked the world, none more so than the Type TNT-1 electric submarine, Elektroboot, a weapon that forever changed underwater warfare. German U-boats had already terrorized the Allies in the Atlantic, sinking massive amounts of shipping and threatening to starve Britain into surrender. In early 1943, Germany's Wolfpack submarine tactics reached their peak. In 1 month alone, they sank over 500,000 tons of Allied ships. But by mid-1943, Allied sonar and anti-submarine technology improved dramatically. Within 1 month, 43 U-boats, about a quarter of Germany's entire fleet, were destroyed. Facing collapse, Hitler ordered a technological leap to regain the edge. Thus was born the Type X-1, the first true submarine designed for long-term underwater operation. At 76.7 meters long, equipped with 6 torpedo tubes and capable of carrying over 23 torpedoes, it could decimate entire fleets. Its advanced electric propulsion system allowed speeds up to 17.2 knots underwater, unheard of at the time, and its massive batteries enabled it to remain submerged for 60 hours at 5 knots without surfacing. Although the war ended before the Type 1 could be deployed widely, its design reshaped naval engineering. Every modern submarine, from nuclear to attack class, owes something to the innovations pioneered by this electric boat. Number 3. The automotive empire. In 1933, soon after taking power, Hitler announced a bold vision: a people's car, Volkswagen, that every German family could afford, one that could seat 5 people, reach 100 km/h, and remain inexpensive. At that time, cars in Europe were luxury items, priced like airplanes. Most dismissed Hitler's idea as political rhetoric, but with full state support, the plan took off. Hitler enlisted legendary engineer Ferdinand Porsche, founder of Porsche automobiles. According to Porsche's recollections, Hitler even sketched the car's early design on a napkin during their dinner meeting, a rounded, compact form that would become the prototype of the Volkswagen Beetle. Initially skeptical of Hitler, Porsche soon found himself captivated by the project's scale and ambition. His designs later influenced many of Germany's wartime armored vehicles. After the war, however, Volkswagen's factory lay in ruins, and its association with the Nazi regime nearly doomed it. Yet one British officer, Major Ivan Hurst, recognized the Beetle's brilliance. Using leftover parts from the wrecked factory, he assembled 2 Beetles himself and drove them in Britain, sparking huge public interest. Thanks to him, production resumed under British supervision, and the Beetle went on to conquer the world. In the 1960s, it became a countercultural icon in the US, symbolizing freedom and rebellion. Today, Volkswagen, once born of Nazi ambition, owns brands like Lamborghini, Audi, Bentley, and Porsche, standing as one of the largest automakers in the world. A story that began in dictatorship ended in cultural triumph, a true irony of history. Number 2. Pervitin, the drug behind the Blitzkrieg. If you study the statistics of World War II, especially during its early stages, one thing becomes clear: the German army's speed and endurance seemed almost superhuman. They conquered Poland in 27 days, Denmark in 4 hours, Norway in 23 days, the Netherlands in 5 days, Belgium in 18 days, and France, then considered Europe's strongest land force, in just 39 days. In less than half a year, Nazi Germany had overrun most of Europe, leaving the world in shock. Historians often credit this success to tactical brilliance, the Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, which emphasized rapid, continuous movement before the enemy could respond. But few realize that this strategy also depended on chemistry, specifically a stimulant called Pervitin. Pervitin was a powerful methamphetamine distributed widely to frontline troops to reduce fatigue and maintain alertness. It allowed soldiers to march and fight for days without sleep, sustaining the lightning pace of invasion. German field reports often boasted of marches covering 80 kilometers per hour or 500 kilometers in 3 days, with one record set by Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's Ghost Division, which advanced 240 kilometers in a single day during the 1940 invasion of France. However, the drug came with devastating side effects. Soldiers developed dependence, hallucinations, cardiac problems, and psychological breakdowns. When the war shifted it into prolonged defensive battles, Pervitin's benefits vanished, but its damage remained. Troops who had relied on it became unstable, exhausted, and incapable of combat without it. Even Hitler himself, along with many senior officers, reportedly abused Pervitin under their physician's supervision, leading to erratic decision-making in the war's later years. In the end, the same substance that fueled Germany's lightning victories contributed to its ultimate downfall. A bitter irony: victory through chemistry turned into defeat through addiction. Number 1. The nylon stockings that helped defeat Hitler. When analyzing Hitler's downfall, few would ever think of something as delicate as women's stockings. Yet nylon, one of the most popular materials in modern fashion, played an unexpected role in the Allied victory. In 1935, researchers at DuPont in the United States accidentally discovered nylon, a transparent, flexible, and silky material stronger than silk. Hitler quickly noticed its potential and even funded DuPont to explore possible military uses, imagining it could be developed into bulletproof helmets or protective gear. However, those military applications failed, while nylon stockings became a cultural phenomenon. When DuPont introduced nylon stockings in 1939, they revolutionized women's fashion. The stockings were cheaper, more durable, and smoother than silk, instantly becoming a bestseller. At one point, DuPont sold over 4 million pairs in a single day. Women loved them not only for their beauty, but also because they covered imperfections and scars, enhancing the appearance of their legs. But when the US entered the war, Japan, the main supplier of silk, cut off exports, and the military desperately needed parachute fabric. Nylon turned out to be the perfect replacement. The government immediately ordered DuPont to halt stocking production and redirect all nylon to the war effort. Yet demand far outstripped supply, so a national Stockings for Victory campaign began. Posters urged American women to donate old or torn nylons with slogans like, "We need stockings to fight the Nazis." Women across the country lined up at collection centers, handing over their prized nylons for the troops. In just 3 months, the US gathered over 280 tons of nylon, enough to make thousands of parachutes for airborne divisions. These very parachutes were used in historic missions, such as the Normandy landings, allowing paratroopers to drop safely behind enemy lines. Many soldiers later joked that their parachutes were made from their girlfriends' or wives' stockings, and some even brought them home after the war to craft wedding gowns or keepsakes. In a poetic twist of fate, the same material that once fascinated Hitler helped the Allies defeat him. The nylon stocking became not only a symbol of post-war femininity, but also a reminder that even the smallest everyday objects, in the right moment, can change the course of history. Conclusion. From jet fighters and computers to soft drinks and stockings, these 10 inventions remind us that war, despite its destruction, often accelerates human creativity. Every tool, every experiment, and even every mistake from that era reshaped the modern world, technologically, culturally, and morally. History's irony is clear. The same innovations born from ambition and conquest eventually found new life in peace, comfort, and beauty.